So we can't do a split thing on this on cameras.
Yep, I do that, and I'm so proud that like.
Can't do the split thing on this and see ads like we
I was
should.
gonna do it.
Yeah, we can't split the screen. Tracy?
Oh, no. Are they gonna?
Oh, sorry.
He has a question.
Those two would be interesting.
Tom had a question. Go ahead. Remember Granicus gave you a split screen as far as the agenda and then the item?
Can we still do that on the web, the other web page where it's not on Google, but it would be on Firefox, do you know?
It's hurting all over the last 2 weeks, which is
Well, right now.
good.
Oh,
Let it pop up.
that right there.
And do a split screen of the new.
What?
Yeah, usually we're set between
So if I go
45
right
and
here.
50.
Do this. So where do I find?
The bad thing about snow for you guys is a lot of accidents. The good thing about it is usually they're lower impact.
Today, right on the meeting? Now, is this us only, or does everybody get to see it this way? So how do I split
You might want to open this.
You would get, it used to give us this and item over here on the left, like you could read.
All you
part of
guys
it.
want to see them. If you need us, don't
So
hesitate.
now do we have, okay.
Are we ready on this end? All set?
I see
Barb?
it now. Yep, thank you.
Are you ready down on this end?
Yes, ma'am. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, okay, Gino is as well.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Amadou.
Here.
Treasurer Clee.
Present.
Trustee Leverett.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Trustee McIntyre.
Here.
Clerk Triplett here. Trustee Vert.
Present. All righty. Do we have any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda?
We have a deletion to item B.
That's gonna come back at a later date.
They'll come back at a later date.
Alrighty, I also wanted to ask the trustees, we've had conversation in the office and at the staff meeting about the resolution that was made to, for a resolution to have Roadrunner do the impounds, and now would be the time, if there's any trustees who would like to add an item to reconsider the decision for impounds, to let me know and we can add it as an item for reconsideration. Does anyone want to do that? I'll ask one more time. Does anyone want to add the item for reconsideration to the agenda tonight? No? No, this way? All set, are we set down here? No? All right, then we will not add that. We have one item deleted, and we move on to the corrections of the minutes from the February 3rd meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? No corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 3rd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Those minutes are approved. We go on to public comment. You have 4 minutes to address the board. I'd ask that you come to the podium and give us your name. You don't have to give us your address, and you can speak on anything you want. Anybody? Nobody wants to speak during public comment? One more time, I'll ask if anybody would like to address the board. So silent. Okay, then we'll move on from public comment. We'll go to reports. I don't believe I have a report this evening. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
I do have a report. Genesee County Board of Commissioners have Genesee County Home Improvement and Urgent Program Repair. There is some flyers out there on the table. There's actually a number on there, and there's certain improvements that they will make on your property if you're eligible. So the contact information is out there on the table, and if you have any additional questions, you can also give me a call at the Clerk's Department.
Is that going to be on our website or a link to their
It is.
website?
It's gonna
Perfect.
be on our
Can I
website.
add on to that, they have information at the senior center also,
Great.
regards to those.
Great. Does that conclude your report this evening?
That concludes my report. Thank
Mr.
you.
Treasurer, do you have a report this evening?
I do not have anything, Madam Trustee Vert and I had a meeting last week for a few minutes, right, Ms. Vert? And we're going over some of the budgeted finances, and we're still in the process of doing some changes here, more changes by the end of this month. But other than that, I just like to pay the bills at the end of the year.
Alrighty, do we have any trustee reports this evening? Mr. Leverett? No? We'll move this way. Mrs. Amadou? No?
I have a report. Two pretty quick things. So the first thing is at the last meeting, I mentioned how I'll be going on an educational trip to Cuba in a few weeks. We've got that donation box out there. We're collecting donations of vitamins and medicines, hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, first aid things. There's a list on there of the things that we're collecting. I will be picking that box up tomorrow, and we will be sorting through the donations tomorrow night. So if there's any like last minute donations, it'll be out there until around 4:30 tomorrow. And I think that's it for that. And then the second thing is, I believe it was the end of November, a few of us were tasked to kind of go through the rules and regulations of what we wanted to abide by as a board. We haven't been able to find a date that has worked for us. There was one date that we had planned, but it fell through. So I'm just kind of wondering what our next step should be, because it seems like our schedules are pretty conflicting. So I'm just not quite sure what the next step we want to take as a board would be. Because I believe we wanted to get that done by the end of January.
Could this be as a teacher person, could this be you give us 1 week to get any notifications to you electronically, and then if we don't, then we can be ready for you for the next meeting? Gene just said to me, he said, yeah, we want to get electronic stuff. Could we just get one more slap on the hand to turn it in late, if you will, if all of us need to, or whatever modified changes?
Is that agreeable to everybody?
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sound good?
Yep. Yeah.
Alrighty, so you'll compile that and bring it to the next meeting, sound good?
All right. I will be gone from the next meeting, because I'll be,
In Cuba.
yeah, I'll be in Cuba.
We can come down there.
So, yeah, if y'all want to come, But, yes, that should work.
Don't overload me with
I
the
did myself.
electronics.
Right. No, that's okay. We'll get it done.
Either myself or trustee Leverett can.
Yes.
When do you go out of town?
We're taking.
Next Friday. I believe it's the 28th.
So, actually, the last staff meeting of this month would be on the 24th, where we have a staff meeting and a board meeting. Maybe
Okay.
if everybody gets it into you guys, we can bring it up there. Sound
Okay.
good? Is that
Absolutely.
agreeable
Sounds
to
good.
everybody?
Yep.
Sounds
Perfect.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, the 24th.
24.
And 5 o'clock is your best time?
Okay.
Yeah?
24th.
Anything earlier? No, 5?
Yep,
Okay,
24, so it'll be,
Alrighty.
no, this
Is that your report, Jenna?
Yep, that is everything.
5, is that good?
staff meeting,
Okay. Trustee Vert?
okay?
Not tonight.
Not tonight? How are things going over at the senior center?
Slow, but they're still getting things done.
They're moving forward.
They're moving forward.
That's
yeah.
good to
And
hear.
what's been done is fantastic. Yeah.
Have they started on the exterior part? I know the weather's been not
Oh,
quite
no,
formidable for
there's
it, so
too much on the
everything's,
inside.
everything's exterior for now.
And I also know that they do, maybe I shouldn't say it, they do provide people who need help tax.
They do, and they could call, but I'm pretty sure those slots are filled. They're
filled already?
pretty,
Okay.
yeah. I think they call ahead a year. Just joking.
So the senior center provides tax
Free services.
preparation? Oh,
But you have to qualify. You have to be a senior, correct?
I didn't know that. We could have put that on our website.
You and I applied?
I wouldn't apply, but I mean, it'd
Oh,
be
yes,
good
we
for the
do.
residents to at least be able to have that information.
What qualifies as a senior over at the senior center?
Two. No.
55, isn't it?
55.
Do we get any
1,
discounts
2,
for
3,
older?
4, 5 of us.
Alrighty, so we will move on to,
I skipped over you and said to her, 5 of us.
move on to staff reports. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report this evening?
Threw you under the bus.
I did put a written report on the desk for you all. This is, usually I do this annually, just a heads up on where we're at. New businesses and reinvestments, highlights that we have had in the last year. Items that are under construction or plans are under review are in the bottom. You should have all gotten an invitation for the Lee's Chicken ribbon cutting, so that's getting ready to open up. The approved site plans awaiting construction drawings. I would add, we have a and then approve special land use, or zoning plans awaiting site plan. I would add that we had that storage, facility, the old Harris Auction House did get approved for the special land use. And so now we are waiting for drawings from, that just came up at the meeting on last Thursday. The offices were closed, but we did have our planning commission meeting. And there was also site plans were approved for, the site plan was approved for the old Harris Auction House. And then a special land use was in for the Rite Aid, building for a car wash. So, those are moving forward. Current active projects, that goes through a list of, ones that we're working on and different things we're doing with them. And then, some of the projects that the, authorities have are listed at the bottom, and, some of the grant items that we had in the last year. So this is just a high-level overview of what we've done, overall in the last year, and the current active projects. I'm gonna try to have this to you monthly of where we're at on projects and, approved site plans and special land uses. We do have, we did have that meeting Thursday, and it was just those two items, the special land use and then the site plan review. The site plan review was approved contingent upon, receiving landscape drawings and, their approvals. We were a little bit concerned about the landscape, and then also about the fact that they're in the, flight path. So we're not sure if they need to, if their booms are gonna be higher than, 25 feet when they're putting the trusses up. They'll need to contact, the FAA, so I'd let them know that.
Alrighty. Chief Wangler, do you have a report for us this evening?
I do, thank you. Since last board meeting on February 3rd, the police department has responded to 1,209 total calls. This figure includes 783 primary calls and 426 backup calls for service. Yesterday afternoon, we responded to the 4,000 block of Miller Road for the report of shots fired. The investigation revealed that two male individuals with a previous history encountered one another at a store, which led to guns being drawn and both subjects shooting at one another in the parking lot. Unfortunately, no one was hit, and both of the subjects fled in their respective vehicles. I am happy to report, though, later this afternoon, our officers located one of these suspects who happened to still be in possession of the gun. He was interviewed by our investigators and lodged at the county jail. The investigation to the other individual is still ongoing. And then lastly, just to report, this Thursday, the 20th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we are partnering with Big B Coffee on Linden Road for Coffee and Cops. You may see a Flint Township officer or two, maybe myself, also serving as a barista.
What time is that?
From 10 to 2.
That's on Thursday?
That's on Thursday.
Thank you. Does that complete your report?
That is it.
Assistant Chief Raleigh, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, ma'am, I do. We've seen a drop in calls since the last board meeting, which is a great thing with how cold it's been. So since the last meeting, we've responded to 29 calls for service, including 2 structure fires, 1 vehicle fire, and 1 vehicle entrapment. On February 9th, at approximately 11:45 p.m., we were dispatched to a commercial structure fire with entrapment in a 3,000 block of Flushing Road. My first fire crews arrived on scene and found a 2-story mixed occupancy building with heavy smoke pushing from the roof. The first floor was a hair salon with an apartment on the second floor. Luckily, initial crews made an interior attack and didn't find any victims, so that was a good thing. We were assisted on that fire by Flushing, Swartz Creek, Mount Morris Station 2, Clio Fire, Flint Township Police Department, and the Michigan State Fire investigators. While on that scene, we did have 2 firefighters that were treated by EMS. One of my firefighters from Flint Township was treated and released, and a Swartz Creek firefighter was treated and transported to the hospital with a fractured ankle. While on this fire, we also were dispatched to a vehicle entrapment on I-75. That call was handled by Mount Morris Station 1 and Mundy Fire because all my crews were tied up on Flushing Road. The cause of the fire is under investigation. If anyone has any information on this fire, please call the fire department, 810-732-4413. Last thing is our apparatus maintenance. Engine 11 is back from repair, and engine 21 is now out of service, having new radiator replaced. That should be back in service Wednesday. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I have a question, Assistant Chief. Folks are still asking all of us, sorry about that. I think that was pointed that way. That way, Mr. Roberts can hear me. Folks are, it's snow and there's all that, but we're still seeing occasionally, smoke in the backyards. A fire in a fire pit, still, you need to be made aware of that, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Safety.
We ask that if you're, we give out burn permits over the phone based on the weather. You call our station, and we'll go over the list of rules. If the weather conditions are okay, then we just give you the burn permit over the phone. We'll take your name, address, and phone number. And if there are any complaints of smoke in the area that we get a call for, we will contact you via the telephone. And if we don't get an answer on the phone, then we will send an engine out to check the area.
Okay, that's what I mean, I know, and it's 732-4413?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 810-732-4413 to get that permit, correct? All right.
Yes, sir.
We had talked last weekend about a couple of fires that were out there, and so I just wanted to bring that up to folks that, you know, if the family's getting together, it's cold out, but you can have a hot cocoa and a s'more, you still let you guys know what's going on. Thank you.
And if there's smoke seen by someone and they haven't called to notify you, the fire department may be coming out, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So that's a way of avoiding an unnecessary trip, right?
Can I throw somebody under the bus? I won't.
Um,
There was I got asked at school because a young lady at school, you know who I'm talking about, had a fire in her backyard, and they were all sitting on the deck, and they didn't tell anybody about it. The neighbors saw smoke, and they right away called for a fire. And she said to me the next day, how come the fire department, the guy came, he was so polite, he came around back and said, do you guys, everything okay? And I said, you know, Sally, you need to call 732-4413 and give him a heads up. She goes, yeah, he told me that. He was so polite. So there you go. Now you know why I said it. Thanks.
All right. So, committee report, John? Please.
Good evening, Township Board. I'm John Whiteside, the Secretary of the Road Advisory Committee. My report will be from our last Road Advisory Committee meeting, which was last Monday, the 10th. I reported at the last board meeting, the Advisory Committee had been looking at the Maple and Linden Road area, it's Lindenwood Farms, and we'd hoped to have our project list finished. However, Genesee County Road Commission has thrown a curve in that plan. In the email from the county, the following was stated. The programming and developing engineer said he had gone through Flint Township's local section line pacer ratings to get the percentage of split between the good and fair roads versus the poor roads. He stated that per the Genesee County Road Commission policy, townships can only spend their 50-50 money on non-section line roads when the network is at 70% or greater at a good or fair rating. He stated the township was below the 70% threshold, which means the Genesee County Road Commission allocation would have to be spent on section line roads to try to get that number back up to 70%. It's been several years since we've actually used any of the 50-50 money on section line roads. We've been able to use it in neighborhoods, which gets us the ability to do a lot more work. So that's kind of throwing a curve in it. So township would have to spend the 50-50 money allocation in an equal amount from the road millage. Projected 50-50 funds for Flint Township is $166,932 for 2025. So that means the township would also have to spend $166,932 of the road millage to match those dollars from the county to be able to access those funds and use them. Could always just let the funds go, but we'd be missing out on $166,000 worth of repair. I don't think anybody wants to do that. So the township has approximately, will have $290,000 available from the road millage for road projects. If we have to spend $166,932, that'll only leave like $123,000 to $125,000 that we can actually use in the subdivision roads. It will greatly reduce what our 2025 plan was. So at this time, Mike Pfeiffer, the engineer, is asking the county if we could just put off doing the section line roads and still use this year's 50/50 allocation on the subdivisions that we've done all this work on planning to do the Lindenwood area. And he hasn't heard back from me yet. If they don't agree to do that and we have to use that money, we will have to look at doing a section line road. One of the roads the county suggested was Graham Road. One of the emails said Graham, the court once said Graham to Beecher. We did court to Beecher a few years ago, so we'll have to look at other options. So we might be able to do some work in Lindenwood, depending on how this all irons out. And we'll just do the best we can. Sorry, we'll just have to wait to formulate a plan and bring it to you maybe at the next meeting. That's my report.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate the work that you do. And you do all those minutes. Thank you very much.
Well, who else on, Gino is, who else is on that committee? A bunch.
There's 9. There's John Whiteside. There's John Lawrence.
Oh,
There's Jean Leverett. There's me. There's Mark Showalter. There's
Jeannie.
Colleen Ford.
Jeannie.
Jeanine Libka. Bud Newsom. I'm missing one person. Jim Rouse.
Okay.
And John Whiteside and Jim Rouse have been on that committee as volunteers since the inception of the road millage in 2006. So, and those are 10-year millages, so. Oh, yes.
I said if anybody can battle
Do
for
a
it,
good
John,
job.
you can.
Yeah,
Let's figure that out.
John be the,
Gene was just saying that you're chasing that hard.
Alrighty, number 8 is payment of bills, Mr. Treasurer.
Would be me. No, I don't want to talk much. All right. Motion to approve the following resolution, as all board members should have received this electronically. If not, you can see this in the township itself. Motion to approve the payment of the invoices in the amount of $15,364.26. In addition, we will acknowledge the payment of invoices and tax distributions in the amount of $2,681,222.68. And these are as authorized by the board's purchasing policy, Section 8. That's my motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Any questions for Mr. Treasurer? None? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $15,364.26.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
trustee Amadou,
Yes.
trustee Vert,
No.
treasurer Clee,
Yes, ma'am.
supervisor Miller,
Yes.
trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you, folks.
So, as we move on to before we move on to number 9, we mentioned that Monday at our staff/board workshop, we're going to talk about the rules. One thing I'd like to start talking about is an update to the board's purchasing policy. That's something that Controller McIntyre's talked about, and we can start the discussion on that on Monday also. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, move on to number 9. Are there any, you read the one correspondence, are there any other
There's no
correspondence
other
or
ones.
informational items? We move on to number 10, new business. Action item A is trade inspector pay rate. Is that right? Fees?
Fees.
Yes, fees.
Fees.
Alrighty. Dennis, I gotta get to the paperwork, sorry. Dennis Miller, the
Page 6.
deputy building official, has submitted information for the township board. At our January meeting, one of them, we had approved the fee schedule. There was an attachment that didn't make it, and so you have that attachment here. It's, I'll just read this. Be advised that the above-mentioned items were not included as part of the building department's review of its standard fees as previously approved by the township board. The review of the existing permit fees took many hours to complete as references of other township, cities, and the state fees were examined. The above 2 payouts were not considered as fees and thus were not part of the previous submitted revised department fee schedule. In reviewing the fee schedules, the fees charged for the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing with our trade inspectors, it was requested that their pay per inspection completed, as well as conducting and signing off on necessary plan reviews, be increased. It was stated that it has been many years since the last increase was approved. It was our oversight that this did not get included and reviewed by the township board at that time. It is recommended that the following payouts be reviewed and approved for our trade inspectors. These costs are considered as a pass-through, as the contractors that the permits are issued to are charged a fee to cover these expenses when a permit is issued. The fees are also in line with similar fees charged by other units of government. So you have the trade inspectors pay at $50, an increase of $10 per inspection completed, and plan review pay is 13% of building officials' plan review fee with a minimum of $100. That's the increase being requested. Would someone be willing to make the motion to approve this?
Cleve would move to accept the adjustment or addendum to the fees that we already previously agreed on.
Is there a second to the motion on approving the,
I would like to make the motion table this. I don't think we have enough information or the consideration of that minimum of $100.
you have a motion to postpone? Is there a second to the motion to postpone?
I'll second it.
Alrighty, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to postpone this item.
Trustee Amadou.
Yes.
Treasurer Clee.
No.
Trustee Leverett.
Yes.
Supervisor Miller.
No.
Trustee McIntyre.
No.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Burt.
No.
It's 4-3, so now we're back to the original motion. We have a motion, we don't have a second. Would someone like to second? Did you? You made the motion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We need a second to the motion. Or give us a second. Any questions or discussion?
Okay,
Mine, or, yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, you were gonna.
Okay. I was looking over all of the information, and it tells me that when we talk about that minimum for those inspections, it tells me that we may not get anything off of that as far as the township is concerned.
Did you talk to Dennis?
When it's gonna be a minimum, no, I haven't talked to him yet, but if it's a minimum of $100, it's the township won't get anything.
Well, I know that the charge for the permit is, was it 17%? Remember, that was the last fee? And they'll their fee is, for pay is 13%. So, Dennis isn't here to answer the question, and,
That's what I was saying, that's just,
I know I have a report from the, building department that it was printed off, but nobody it wasn't presented to me. But in looking at it, we took in $21,738.99 for, permits with a construction value of $2,568,000, $380. I didn't say that right, but anyway. I don't know that that's an issue. I think that if it was, he wouldn't have made the recommendation to do so. But, he'll be in tomorrow. I know you'll be in. You wanna talk to him? No, that it doesn't help you in your decision tonight, but he will be here tomorrow.
sorry.
Well, I spoke to Dennis and we talked about how this adjusts to the other fees that are in the area and how we haven't adjusted our fees. And looking at what you're talking about, there's an additional charges for the permits that they do charge, that the balance of that 13% to cover our administrative costs would be covered in that. However, if you, in lieu of issues, arguments, discussionary, but to have every piece of the document and every piece of everything in our brain, I would be willing to backstep my motion and to allow for more discussion as long, allow for more discussion with you wanting to talk to Dennis, maybe there's another one or two that would like to. And
How are you gonna amend that motion?
I not amend it, I mean, pull back on, I gotta think of how I
We
gotta
already
do
voted
this.
on postponing it, and the vote went down.
Right.
I know.
We're gonna vote on the motion if there's no further
What was that,
discussion.
Ms. Vert?
There's been a motion and a
Yeah,
second.
you're right, okay. That was my conversation, never mind.
Also, this comes from the state. This information comes from the state.
And
their
he also
guideline.
cited other governmental units, so we're just getting in line with what they do, so. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Burt,
Yes?
trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
trustee Amadou,
Yes.
trustee Clee. I
Yes.
mean, treasurer Clee.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me answer this.
Sorry. Treasurer
Trustee
Clerk.
Leverett,
No.
clerk Triplett, no.
Alrighty. That's action item A. Action item B is postponed. Action item C, Madam Clerk.
Every year, cemeteries have to be maintained as far as grass cutting and moving shrub and debris. We have bids sent out, and in your packet, you should see the bids that were
Oops, sorry.
submitted.
My fault. There you go.
You should see the bids that were submitted for this bid for the cemetery, which is Cronk Cemetery and Bristol Road Cemetery. There's insurance, they have insurance as well, businesses, and this is to maintain both cemeteries.
Bristol Road and Cronk. Where's the Cronk Cemetery?
It's on Beecher Road, just,
Oh,
Take,
is it,
this little small.
I'm
but
sure
it's-
you drive by it all the
I was
time.
gonna say,
take
is that
die,
that
we're
little
dead,
cemetery
yep,
that's
die
on the-
dead ends, hang that
Next
lefty
door.
going west, and it's right,
Okay.
right there.
Is that next door to Sunset?
Okay.
It's going the other way.
So,
Walk around it, there's some-
you've summarized. Are you making a motion, Madam Clerk?
Yeah. So I'm making a motion that the board would accept the company that is going to be maintaining Bristol Road Cemetery along with Cronk for maintenance for the summer. That's my motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Any questions or discussion?
Does anybody know about Tees Lawn Care? Have they ever worked with them or anything, or?
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to that?
We don't do that.
All right, my bad.
So I have a question. The contingencies, and I understand there's gonna be extra charge for trash and debris it should be excess, not access, but excess of extra charge. In excess of so it's additional charge.
Additional charge, yeah.
My question is, I don't wanna pay $1,000 for trash and debris
Neither do
pickup.
I. Yeah, what
So-
happens is he submits a bill because you can't really give a cost if you don't know what you're gonna be doing. And so usually the company that maintains the cemetery will go out, do an assessment of what needs to be done, bring that information back or send it to me. This is what I charge to do this.
So we'll
And
get
then we move forward.
his estimate before we pay him, right? So he's gonna say, there's this here, and this is what it's gonna cost before he goes and does it?
Yeah.
That's good.
He said the
So-
spring cleanup, which would probably be the biggest thing,
Yeah.
would just be like, if it's normally $100, it would be $200 for that week. So it wasn't anything excessive or anything like that, where we've had before, we had some
In
that was,
addition
like
to that,
crazy.
his
But yeah.
cost is extremely,
It is very low.
extremely low.
I was just, with the
So-
people who do the lawn mowing, Tracy, on the freeway, they've given us prices for when they pick up trash. So that's just one thing that caught my eye, that I don't have a price there. But as long as he's gonna let us know, we can say yes or no to it, or say, just do this much, whatever.
Well, that includes normal trash pickup. He was talking about like if there's a
Okay.
tree down
Yeah, that
or
makes sense.
somebody goes out and dumps a whole truckload of garbage
Which
or
we have
something like
had
that.
happen before.
Yeah.
Alrighty, any further discussion? Any further
One
questions?
down here.
I got a
Yes.
question. But, in one of the other, estimates, it talked about, they didn't know how much they was gonna have to charge for, heavy debris. So, are we talking about when they, get ready to mow the lawn, are they gonna pick the trash up or are they gonna mow over it?
Hope they would pick it up.
Well, in the past, it hasn't been happening like that. The guys just mowed over the trash before they picked it up,
That's why we got a new company.
and it looked worse.
That's exactly why we're moving in a different direction.
That's good.
Trustee Leverett, that's
That's good.
exactly why we're doing that.
Any further questions? And with no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to hire, oh, I just put this way. Hire,
Tees, lawn care, and snow removal.
yep, with the information on the summary, for Bristol Road Cemetery, $200 per week, and Cronk Cemetery, $100 per week, with Tees Lawn Care and snow removal.
That's right.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
And Treasurer Clee,
Yes.
Trustee Amadou,
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes, Trustee Burt.
Alrighty.
Oh, okay. I was at
So-
no, I'm sorry.
Number 11 is announcements, and our next meeting, we'll have a staff / board workshop next Monday.
Are we doing that at the next one?
Which one?
We deleted the
Oh,
B.
oh, the
So we said
cemetery,
the
okay,
easy,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
We put it on.
Yeah.
So
Snooze.
that'll be staff and
/ board work session next Monday, February 24th, here at 5 PM. Okay? And if there's no further business, and without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Mr. and Mrs. Hughes,